Ladies and gentlemen, this year's annual meeting has as its theme the creative imperative, as we all have heard. And fittingly, we have with us in Davos the chief designer of China's economic future. Since 1979, when the Forum invited for the first time a Chinese delegation to attend the annual meeting in Davos, China has transformed itself into an economic superpower. Today, the GDP is over $2 trillion, but when measured particularly also in PPP terms, China, as we have heard today, has become the fourth largest economic force in the world, after the United States, Japan, and Germany. China is now entering again a new phase of modernization, and its creative imperative is to carve a development path that is based, as we also heard last year, on scientific and technological development while protecting the environment and enhancing social harmony. We are privileged to have with us the state leader that has been tasked to respond to this imperative, His Excellency Zeng Peiyan, Vice Premier and member of the Political Bureau of the CPC Central Committee of the Communist Party of China. An engineer by training, he is responsible for China's future policy direction in such critical areas as macroeconomic planning, energy, development of the Western provinces, and the environment. As part of his many responsibilities, he is in charge of China's 11th five-year plan, which will be presented to the National People's Congress in March, and we are very honored to have this opportunity today to get a preview of how China will address its future challenges. Vice Premier Zeng has traveled from Beijing just days before the Chinese New Year celebration for this specific purpose, and I want to thank him very warmly, as I thank all our Chinese participants for making this special journey at this very special moment. I also want particularly like to thank the following senior officials accompanying the Vice Premier: Governor Zhou of the People's Bank of China, Deputy Secretary General Zhang of the State Council, Vice Minister Zhao of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Vice Chairman Zhang of the National Development and Reform Commission, Vice Minister Zhu of the State Environmental Protection Administration, and I would also like to thank Ambassador Xia Chukang of the Permanent Mission of the People's Republic of China for his efforts on our behalf. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to welcome the Vice Premier of the People's Republic of China.
尊敬的Schwab主席、女士们，晚上好！很高兴来到了白银映的瑞士达沃斯。
President Schwab, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It gives me great pleasure to attend the World Economic Forum's 2006 annual meeting in the snow-covered Swiss resort of Davos. This time every year, renowned personages from around the world would gather here to discuss topical issues of global development. The events here play an active and important role in enhancing international exchanges and cooperation and promoting prosperity and stability across the globe. The theme of this year's annual meeting, the creative imperative, demonstrates a strong interest in global growth and hopes for a better future based on reform and innovation. I would like to extend, on behalf of the Chinese government and in my own name, warm congratulations on the successful opening of this meeting. As we speak, the world economy is undergoing profound changes, as evidenced by in-depth development of economic globalization, rapid advance of science and technology, faster movement of productive factors, and industrial transfer, and ever closer economic links between countries. Indeed, cooperation and development have become the trend of our times. At the same time, however, the world economy is facing an increasing number of destabilizing and uncertain factors: fiercer international competition, rising trade protectionism, an unfair international economic order, and a widening gap between the North and the South. Under these new circumstances, we need to find ways to maximize benefits, minimize harmful effects, and be more creative in development. For the sake of world progress and our shared future, developed and developing countries, government institutions, and non-governmental entities alike should give full play to their imagination and creativity, rise with the tide, study and prepare responses, and act to address practical problems. Ladies and gentlemen, its past 27 years of reform and opening up, China has enjoyed an average GDP growth of 9.6% and fast development in social undertakings. Last year, China recorded a GDP of $2.2 trillion, or over $1,600 in per capita terms, which meant better lives for our people. The market economy has taken root. The prices of over 95% of all commodities are now decided by the market, and over 95% of investment comes from enterprises, banks, or private citizens. Since its accession to the World Trade Organization over 4 years ago, China has faithfully met its commitments, looked into and revised relevant laws and regulations, gradually brought down tariffs, removed non-tariff measures, liberalized services trade, and pushed forward the Doha round of multilateral trade negotiations. All this has helped to create a favorable environment for the further expansion of economic and technical exchanges with other countries. This being said, we must not overlook the significant difficulties still confronting us. China is a populous country with a weak economic foundation and unbalanced development. Although a frontrunner in terms of aggregate economic strengths, China's per capita GDP still ranks lower than the 100th in the world. It has to address such challenges as an unbalanced industrial structure, low technological level, mounting pressures on the resources and the environment, imbalance between economic development and social progress, a widening gap between rural and urban areas and different parts of China, as well as rising income disparity. In a vast country with over 1 billion people, it will take years or even decades of hard work to achieve moderate prosperity and basic modernization. The next few years are a window of important opportunities for China. We are now formulating a program of national economic and social development for 2006 through 2010. Our goals for the next 5 years are First, doubling the per capita GDP of 2000 by 2010 on the basis of an optimized economic structure and higher economic returns. Second, improving the efficiency of resources, reducing energy consumption per unit GDP by 20% over the next 5 years, and curbing ecological and environmental degradation. Third, establishing a by and large well-functioning and more open socialist market economy. To attain all these goals, we must seize opportunities and make innovative efforts. On theoretical innovation, China has drawn on its own and other countries' experiences and set out a scientific approach to development and the guiding principles of a harmonious socialist society. On scientific and technological innovation, China has formulated a medium and long-term program for science and technology development and defined the goals and policies of building an innovation-driven country. On institutional innovation, China has identified priorities in institutional reform as required by our ambition to build a well-functioning market economy. Driven by innovation, China will be able to sustain its momentum of growth, improve the quality of growth, and press ahead with people-oriented economic and social development in a comprehensive, coordinated, and sustainable manner. In the years to come, China's economic and social development will be chiefly characterized by the following features. First, China's development will be based on its domestic market. China's huge potential in domestic demand will provide an enormous market, as evidenced by the addition of 514 million telephone subscribers and over 200,000 megawatts of power generation capacity in the past 5 years. This shows that we have a rather untapped potential in our domestic market. Over the next 5 years, we will rely on the further expansion of the domestic market and maintain appropriate growth in fixed assets investment. Meanwhile, we'll strike a proper balance between investment and consumption and enhance the role of the latter in driving growth. China is not only a major energy consumer, but also a major energy producer. Over the years, we have been able to meet over 90% of our energy needs on our own. Significant potential exists in energy production, since only less than 1/3 of our hydropower resources has been utilized, and the share of nuclear power in the total installed capacity is merely 1.7%. We will continue to rely on domestic resources and build a stable, economical, and clean energy supply system. Coal will be used in an efficient and clean manner, and efforts will be made to enhance oil and gas supplies. As we balance the development of coal, hydro, and nuclear power, we will also accelerate the utilization of wind, biomass, and solar power, raising the share of renewables in the total energy mix to 15% by 2020. We will rely on domestic talent, give priority to science, technology, and education, and lose no time in training professionals at various levels and in different fields. China has a national savings rate of around 40%, a vast labor pool of over 800 million, and considerable natural resources on its vast land. On top of this, we boast a fairly complete infrastructure, a good education and S&T basis, a maturing market economy, and a stable social and political environment. We'll make good use of all these strengths and give full play to domestic capital, labor, energy resources, and other essential factors of production. Looking ahead, we are confident that China is capable of attaining long-term and sustainable development. Second, China's development will be driven by structural optimization. According to China's first national economic census, the primary, secondary, and tertiary industry in 2004 accounted for 13.1%, 46.2%, and 40.7% respectively of the economy, showing progress in industrial restructuring, but also room for further improvement. Over the next 5 years, we will lift technological standards through independent innovation, strengthen agriculture, speed up the growth of the services industry, and press ahead with optimizing and upgrading the industrial structure. Key national projects will serve as platforms for introducing cutting-edge technologies from abroad. At the same time, we'll make our own innovation on the basis of learning and assimilation. We will raise the overall level of equipment manufacturing through breakthroughs in efficient clean power generation, transmission and distribution, large-scale petrochemical projects, advanced and useful transport equipment, high-grade numerically controlled machine tools, integrated circuit, and sophisticated power units. Efforts will also be made to spur the growth of high-tech industries, such as IT, biotechnology, new materials, new energy sources, aeronautics, and space navigation, of service industries, such as finance, logistics, consultancy, culture, tourism, and of primary sectors such as energy, mining, water conservancy, transport, and communications, as well as infrastructure. Third, China's development will stress the conservation of resources. A large population and relatively scarce resources are the reality in China. We are committed to the basic policy of conservation and will move towards a resource-efficient society by stressing the conservation of power, water, material, and land, as well as their comprehensive use. Focus will be put on energy conservation and cost reduction in such key sectors as metallurgy, construction material, chemical industry, and power generation. Key projects will be implemented to conserve and replace petroleum and realize heat and power cogeneration and green lighting. Furthermore, we'll promote energy conservation at 1,000 key enterprises, encourage the production and use of water and energy-saving products, fuel-efficient and environmentally friendly automobiles, and develop buildings that use less energy and land. Industries that consume considerable energy or materials or generate huge pollution should be strictly controlled, and outdated production capacity be phased out in line with current laws. Fourth, China's development will be friendly to the environment. We will continue to implement the strategy of sustainable development and the basic policy of environmental protection, accelerate efforts to build an environmentally friendly society, and stress environmental conservation and construction. With greater efforts to prevent and treat water pollution, we'll clean up heavily polluted river basins, strengthen urban sewage treatment capacity, actively manage rural non-point pollution, and protect the sources of drinking water. In fighting air pollution, we will strengthen the management of sulfur dioxide emissions from coal-fired power plants and reduce emissions of greenhouse gases. Solid waste pollution will also be properly managed. To curb pollution at its source, we will promote a circular economy and clean production and readjust the mix and distribution of industries. Areas where further development should be optimized, encouraged, restricted, or prohibited will be specified in the light of the affordability of local resources and the environment. We will press ahead with existing ecological programs, including the protection of natural forests, restoration of farming and grazing lands to forests and grasslands, the prevention and control of desertification, monitoring, and law enforcement should also be strengthened to ward off potential threats to the environment. Fifth, China's development will be comprehensive and coordinated in nature. We will transform China's vast countryside to make it assume a new socialist look, vigorously promote modern agriculture, give priority to infrastructure and utilities in rural areas, and work hard to improve farmers' income. Active and steady efforts will be made to promote urbanization, facilitate the orderly migration of surplus rural laborers, and provide them with a good habitat in cities. We will continue to develop the western region of China, revitalize the northeast and other old industrial heartlands, facilitate the rise of the central region, and encourage the eastern region to sustain its lead. We will make vigorous efforts to create more jobs, alleviate poverty through development, improve the social security network, make income distribution more equitable, and accelerate the development of education, culture, and public health. Sixth, China's development will be achieved through continued reform and open up. We will stick to the path of building a socialist market economy and deepen reform and opening to provide impetus and guarantee for economic and social development. In terms of the key tasks before us, we need to reform the administrative system and government functions by prioritizing public management and services. We will accelerate the shareholding reform of state-owned enterprises and encourage, support, and guide the development of non-public sectors. Reform of the pricing regime will also be promoted so that prices can reflect market supply and demand, scarcity of resources, and cost of pollution. Reform also needs to be deepened in finance, taxation, and investment. Micro-regulation should also be improved and a modern market system be put into place. Furthermore, we should work to ensure a good market order, strengthen protection of intellectual property rights, and enforce relevant laws. We must adhere to the basic policy of opening up and raise the level of opening on all fronts. To start with, foreign trade will see further growth. We will overhaul the model of our trade growth and optimize its mix. Second, we will make active, effective, and better use of foreign investment and give more attention to introducing advanced technologies, managerial expertise, and high-caliber professionals. Last but not least, we will support the mutually advantageous investment of capable and competitive Chinese enterprises in overseas markets, in line with market rules, so as to help them take full advantage of domestic and overseas markets and their respective resources. Ladies and gentlemen, China cannot develop in isolation, nor can the world develop without China. Last year, China's trade in goods reached $1,420 billion, of which import accounted for $660 billion. This placed China as the third largest trading nation. China was also the third largest recipient of FDI, which amounted to $60.3 billion in 2005. Indeed, since China adopted the policies of reform and opening up, we have benefited from the useful assistance rendered us by many countries around the world. The flow of capital, technology, and human resources has provided strong support for China's modernization drive. In the other direction, China has contributed to global development as well. Over the last few years, we have extended preferential tariff treatment to 40 LDCs, provide financial and technical assistance within our capacity to countries devastated by the Indian Ocean tsunami, the South Asian earthquake, and the international efforts to combat avian flu. At the UN World Summit last September, China made 5 pledges to other developing countries in the areas of preferential tariffs, debt relief, loan facilitation, epidemic prevention, and human resources development. Over the next 5 years, China's development will create more opportunities for the rest of the world. Our import of commodities alone is expected to exceed $4 trillion. It is therefore our hope that foreign entrepreneurs and professionals will seize this opportunity, expand trade with and investment in China, and support and participate in China's development. China pursues an inclusive development strategy that promotes win-win results. We are ready to work with the international community to further open up markets, improve the multilateral trading regime, and advance trade and investment liberalization and facilitation. We will promote technology trade and institute mechanisms for technology dissemination and transfer, so that more countries, especially those in the developing world, can benefit from the latest breakthroughs. We'll work to improve the international financial system, foster a stable, efficient, and secure global financial environment, and forestall financial risks. We will actively pursue energy cooperation, provide stability in the international energy market, and contribute to secure, economical, and clean energy supplies. We will enhance cooperation on environmental issues, implement international environmental conventions, and build capacity for environmental protection. Last but not least, we will strengthen consultation and coordination with the international community in tackling poverty, debt, natural disasters, communicable diseases, terrorism, and population-related issues, and promote peace and development in the world. The World Economic Forum is an excellent platform for addressing global economic issues. The Chinese government, business and academic communities, and media see great value in the forum. And we are willing to have candid discussions, closer ties, and broader and more forms of cooperation with other countries through this forum. In this context, I am pleased to announce that my government has approved the forum's application for a Beijing representative office. To my knowledge, this will be the first representative office ever set up by the forum outside Switzerland. I'm sure it will help enhance the forum's cooperation with China and the interaction and common development of Chinese and foreign businesses. As China moves along the path of scientific, harmonious, and peaceful development, we stand ready to work with countries around the world, make bold and innovative efforts, and contribute to a larger share to global development and harmony. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you all.
Vice Premier Zeng Peiyan, we just had a small dialogue, whether we should follow up with questions. But actually, Vice Premier, in your speech, you have given us so many answers which we were coming to look for. And we would like to thank you for sharing the ambitious vision that you have outlined for China's continued development. We also have heard with great interest that your continued development will put emphasis on what you call scientific development, creating social harmony and environmental sustainability. We also have noted with interest, Vice Premier, that China will play a very responsible role in the future of world economics and politics, creating win-win situations. And we are here, and in our discussions over the next 4 years, there will be many, after 4 days, there will be many opportunities to go into depth with some of the issues raised. But I think what is very important is that we consider the rise of China not as a risk, not as a threat, but as an opportunity. We share your optimism, and this is also the reason why we signed earlier today a memorandum of understanding that will strengthen the Forum's long-standing engagement in China by opening an office in Beijing. This office will be the center of our activities for a new community which we will form and develop as part of the Forum's family. The global growth companies, a community of global growth companies, the emerging multinationals, the next generation of global corporate champions. Particularly for this community, we will also organize a global industry summit in China as of 2007. Vice Premier, we would like to thank you again for your comprehensive outlining of the objectives of the next 5 years plan. We were privileged to have an insight into those objectives as, I would say, a first community, and I think we are grateful for it. So, Vice Premier, thank you again for coming to Davos, for joining with us, for enlightening us on the objectives of the next 5 years plan, and we wish you all the best in the implementation of those objectives. Thank you.